Well, that certainly didn't take long. I've already gotten a pretty spicy response from my skeptic video. This person says, "This is such a bad take. Danky, confusing several communities as one. Making the same generalized and reactionary statements he accuses others of making in the video. Breadtubers can get just as far up their own behinds as YouTube atheists and skeptics." So let me sort of tackle this little doozy of an opening sentence. As far as me confusing several communities as one, I was only ever talking about a single community, and that was the skeptic community. Your inability to sort of keep up with that, it shows more on you than it does me. I was only ever talking about one group of people, the skeptic community, aka the atheist community, aka the new atheist community. There's a lot of names, but the point is, they were all the same group. We all know who we're talking about, except for this guy over here. He's sort of out of the loop. I don't really know how to explain to him that, when I talk about the skeptic community, talking about that broad group of I even say in the video, I'm talking specifically about the YouTube skeptic community. How much more clear do I have to be, dipshit? Anyway, as far as me making generalized and reactionary statements, I want to know which one of my statements were generalized and which ones were reactionary, as this person calls them. As far as generalizations go, yeah, I'm talking about an entire internet community of people. Of course, not every single constituent of that group is going to be reactionary. Of course, not every single one of them is going to be an anti-sjw. And then, speaking of reactionary, this person calls me reactionary numerous times, and I don't really understand why. Because they've shown nothing that I have said that is remotely reactionary. I think this fucking idiot spends a lot of time on breadtube, but probably doesn't really understand what the lingo means. And so they go around calling people reactionaries because they know it's an insult, but they don't really know what it means. I have a feeling this person's like that, because if they actually knew who I was and the kind of content that I cook out on a semi-regular basis, they would know there's nothing reactionary here, my friend. And as far as me being up my own behind, as you say, dude, I'm probably my own worst critic over here. I don't think anybody really criticizes my videos as much as me. I look back on my videos and it's a painful process. I don't like to watch my own shit, but I force myself to rewatch my own videos so that I can learn where I slip up, how I can better explain myself in the future. The only way for me to improve is to examine my mistakes and try to improve upon them. I think that's kind of the opposite of being up your own ass. It's pretty much admitting that I fuck up and I'm gonna try to do better. But, I don't think I made any fuck ups in the past video. The skeptic video, I don't think I said anything that would warrant somebody calling the statements I made in there reactionary. But, let's just keep going. It says they've gone from one extreme creationist to the other, a YouTube reactionary leftist, without actually doing any of the necessary philosophical introspection needed to develop analysis worth listening to. Now this one's weird because why is it necessarily a bad thing that I've been on the other side of the coin? That I was born and raised in a very reactionary conservative environment? If anything, that shows that I have been exposed to those kinds of regressive ideas. I've risen out of them. I wasn't born into socialism, I was born in the infertile cesspool of reactionary chuddery, and I rose into the fertile fields of socialism through a lot of trials, tribulations, but most importantly reading and researching. So, when you accuse me of not doing any necessary philosophical introspection, that's a fucking lie. My transition alone from a creationist to a reactionary YouTube leftist, as you say, required a huge amount of philosophical introspection. Now, once again, you use the term reactionary. I don't think you know what that word means because you're not using it in a correct way. You're not using it in the way that leftists use the term reactionary. I assume you calling me a reactionary on some level you're implying by statements are bigoted. They're displaying like microaggressions or something. But, I challenge you to find anything I've said that displays that. He says, this is a warning to all of us, myself included, that we have to continue criticizing ourselves first. We're all susceptible to biases, and that not every reactionary opinion needs to be shared. So once again, the fool says the word reactionary. I disagree. You're a fucking reactionary. Now, I asked the guy, how am I reactionary? What specifically did I say that qualifies this as a bad take? And the dude asked me, am I posting my own content? And to that I say, yeah. What do you expect? I don't have a fucking team of editors and animators to dish out videos for me. So of course I have to make my own content. I'm not making any money off of this. So when you later accuse me of doing self-promotion, I'm promoting the cause, my friend. I'm promoting Marxist-Leninism. I'm not trying to make any money off of this. I don't give a flying fuck if I am pushed to the margins of this community and kept forever, sort of hushed away in a quiet corner, Danky's corner, with a few dedicated subscribers. As long as my content's out there, I'm satisfied. So the person quotes what I say in the video. So let's read the quote. It says, but the second that they were hit with questions like white privilege, the second they were hit with questions like what to do with the sort of political momentum behind our movement, they sat there twiddling their fingers, or they pointed their fingers at the SJWs and said, these people are the problem. They're literally just as bad as the reactionary Christians, these so-called skeptics. Literally said that the feminist social justice warriors were just as bad as the conservative Christians. The conservative Christians who advocate for taking away women's rights, taking away gay rights, taking away trans rights, suppressing ethnic and cultural minorities, trying to push their religious agenda on the entire country, trying to make everybody believe what they believe and think how they think and live how they think everyone should live. The skeptic community turned their backs to every vulnerable targeted group of people that were immersed in these religious environments. All of the kids that were grown up in homeschooling, and they were being inundated with creationist propaganda and a reactionary conservative propaganda on a day-to-day basis. Kids who went to private Christian schools, people who were raised in an environment where they literally had only one opinion taught to them their entire life. So that was a quote from me, yours truly, Danky. I didn't find anything really reactionary in that. And sure, I made some generalizations, but that's because I was trying to talk about the movement as a whole and the trajectory that they went around. I don't think that anybody who honestly examines the skeptic community will argue that they went down this reactionary anti-SJW road. So then the person goes on to say, let's put aside for the moment that both the content you make and the delivery aesthetic is indistinguishable from YouTube's worst reactionaries. Pop culture name, a cartoon avatar, and zero evidence rants. Whether it's coming from the right or the left, it's still cringy and of very little value, borderline dangerous. Now this is where I really get angry because I've talked about the aesthetic of this channel in the past, and I talked about why it's more efficient for me to make these kinds of videos than it would be for me to spend days and days painstakingly editing a ContraPoints quality, very pretty, very beautiful edited video that I'm sure will capture all of the drooling masses, and distract them from their memes and their dank video games long enough to pay attention. I'm sure if I wanted to draw in a mass audience of fucking idiots, I could make a very pretty video. But guess what, friend? I would be saying in that video the exact same message I'm saying in this video. So from a functional standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, I'm better off making videos like this than I am making a very, very beautiful and well edited ContraPoints tier video. And, first of all, it's kind of elitist for you to hold everybody to that kind of standard. Not everybody has the time, the talent, or the resources to make amazing videos. The quality of the videos should be in the kinds of message that they're putting out, not the aesthetic. Alright? I don't care if the video looks like dog shit. I'm still watching it if the quality of what's being said in the videos is good. If it's a video worth listening to, and if it's a video worth watching, then I'll watch it regardless of the lack of aesthetic. It can be a black screen and a voiceover, I would still listen to it. So as far as my delivery aesthetic being indistinguishable from YouTube's worst reactionaries, if anything, that just shows that you're a fucking elitist scumbag. You're trying to hold breadtube to this high standard and gatekeep it. Like, you have been made the fucking bouncer of the breadtube club, and I'm not cool or shiny or hip enough to be let in to the booty club. And I take offense to that because there's nothing in the sidebar saying that the videos have to meet a certain aesthetical quality before we allow it onto our pristine fucking subreddit. So get off your elitist high horse, ass wipe. And yeah, I have a pop culture name. It's a fucking stupid name, but I like it. I've grown to sort of like it. As far as my avatar being a cartoon avatar, congratulations, dipshit. Fucking 25% of this website has a cartoon avatar. What, you're gonna criticize literally a quarter of this whole fucking website? I'm not doing anything that thousands and thousands of other YouTubers aren't also doing, my friend. And as far as my rants having zero evidence, I think we've already talked. My rants have plenty of fucking evidence. I witnessed firsthand this community fall apart at the seams. I was in the middle of it, right? I witnessed this happen. So, as far as the evidence, it's all out there. The videos are still there. You can go to Thunderfoot's channel and see how he went from making video after video, tearing apart creationists, tearing apart conservative Christians, almost exclusively to focusing on feminism. So you can see sort of the degradation of this community into this reactionary cesspool that it is now. You can see it. It's plain as day. It's out there for everybody to see. So as far as my rants having zero evidence, sorry to break it to you, friend, but anybody with a fucking brain can look at the YouTube skeptic community and see that it's gone down the toilet. As far as you say my videos are cringy, well, I think this fucking comment's cringy. I think that it shows that you don't really understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm sorry that my video is not pretty for you. I'm sorry that it's not a well-edited, gorgeous video for you to look at, and the aesthetic isn't great. Fuck off. Get off your elitist high horse, buddy boy. Go watch a Pixar movie if you care so much about aesthetics. I'm here to talk about big boy ideas, bitch. So you say, it's borderline dangerous. Now that is really kind of a whole other can of worms. Like, how is my video dangerous? How is my content dangerous? What am I doing that's so dangerous? Am I threatening this subreddit somehow? Once again, it's this sort of snobbish attitude like, ooh, how dare you disgrace our beautiful, pristine subreddit with your disgusting low-effort videos. No, fuck off, Bradley Uppercrust III. Who are you to tell me I can't post my shit to this subreddit? Anyway, so you give a 15-minute hot take rant where you confuse several communities, philosophies, and approaches, and confuse popular ideologues as representing entire communities, but also offer zero evidence and couch it in a clickbait title. So let's talk about that. Yeah, my video was a 15-minute hot take rant. That doesn't mean it was a uninformed rant. It was a long time coming. It was probably the video I watched from one of my viewers, Neo Jacobin, that finally persuaded me to sort of make that rant. It had been building up for a while, and it felt good to let it all out. Now, as far as me confusing several communities, I was only ever talking about one community. You can go back and watch the video again, Buckaroony, because I say specifically I'm talking about the YouTube skeptic community. It's not my fault you don't know what words mean, dipshit. And as far as me talking about confusing popular ideologues as representing entire communities, well, yeah. I mean, you want to look at internet culture, you look at the people who are at the forefront of that culture. In the case of the YouTube skeptic community, it was people like, Matt Dillahunty and Thunderfoot and Aaron Ra, and then you had people like Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens and Daniel Dennett and all these, cis white males, which, from an SJW standpoint, it wasn't, the coolest aesthetically. You want to talk about like aesthetics, the aesthetic of the skeptic community was pasty white and male dominated. So the second that a few, minor elements in that community tried to speak up for themselves, they got hushed, they got silenced, and they got ousted. And ever since then, the skeptic community has degraded into this reactionary cesspool that we see nowadays. So, I mean, the evidence for it is clear as day. And the title is not clickbait because it's true, my friend. The skeptic community is a reactionary cesspool. Now, this person says, if you wanted, you could have gathered a whole lot of evidence on several prominent voices within the YouTube atheist and skeptic community and called them out, but you'd be far too late to the party, as those communities and a million others have already called out the likes of Thunderfoot years ago. Hey dipshit, it's almost like you answered your own little quandary. It's almost like I didn't make a fucking 200-hour expose on every little minute detail as to what happened in this sort of atheist community schism and this reactionary road they went down, because it's been done better and it's been done before by people who have more time to dedicate to going into very, very fine detail into this whole issue, right? It's been done before. So what I wanted to do was to offer my own unique perspective, which doesn't offer a whole lot of evidence and several prominent voices. It just involves my own experience. I didn't need to do a 3 billion part deep dive because that's already out there for people to watch. You can even go to the primary channels that was involved with all of this. You can still see their content. So the evidence of all that, it's still there. So yeah, it's kind of late to the party, but I'm still allowed to voice my opinion. Just because it's a controversy that you think died down doesn't mean it's not relevant. There are still targeted people out there. There are still children growing up in religious indoctrinated households. There are still children going to schools and private religious schools that teach this kind of reactionary propaganda. So don't tell me that this whole controversy is irrelevant. Now, they say posting something to this sub suggests it's worth watching, but it turns out you're only self-promoting your low-effort rant tube. Well, forgive me, friend. Turns out I don't have an ad company promoting my videos. I don't have an editing team putting them together, a professional video making crew. I'm sorry that I don't have Adobe After Effects and ContraPoint's tier editing in my videos. I'm sorry that you didn't have bright colors and cool effects to watch while you listen to me shred your dipshit fucking argument to shreds. Now, you say you've put more effort into posting this response than you did into your own video. Well, here is another little challenge for you. How about you take the effort into looking up what the word reactionary means before you go throwing that around willy-nilly? Because it turns out calling communists reactionaries just makes you look like a giant dipshit. Pro tip.